Hi, Bo here from High Tech Investment, and welcome back to the channel where today we're going to do a bit of a tutorial. So for the Trade Explorer, exactly how you can buy, install and set up this particular EA. First of all, we're going to show you exactly how to buy it. And at the moment, you can actually get a nice little discount on it. So that is one incentive to get started and watch the rest of this video here. Next part is we're going to show you exactly how to install it. It is a bit more complicated maybe than if you have one individual EA on site. So that's why we're also going to go through both the manual, and we're going to show you also on our own account. We're going to basically set up a brand new account from scratch and then show you exactly how things are done. That way you can also be sure that if you follow that to the point and to the letter, everything should definitely work. And at least you also know what to look out for on top of this. And then we have the settings. There is different setups, different set files. There's different currencies in here also. That makes it a bit more tricky for the novice in here. If you have experience with setting these things up, it is basically do the same one time and then the rest is repetition. But don't fear not, we're gonna have a look at everything in here. We're gonna explain it to you in details. Now, what is this all about again? Well, the Trade Explorer, we started this one off as our mystery robot. This was actually the first video that we made of this at that particular time. We showed you some tremendous good profit results here. And basically now we're building on this to make sure that you get fully up to speed with this particular EA. And that is also why this tutorial is quite important here today, to show you exactly how you can get started and also have a look at exactly some of our results where we are, in order to make sure you know how to set up your particular settings or which ones you actually want to use. And we're going to show you that right now. Now, we mentioned to you a couple of times here before that if you go to our homepage, High Tech Investment here, this is normally the best place to go and find everything that we have. You can go and click on the portfolio button here and then basically scroll down. You see the Trade Explorer and you click that particular one. And then you end up on that particular website where it will tell you a lot more about the EA itself, how it trades. And as you can see here also, there is plenty of information of how it has traded in the past. At the moment, we have two different setups here. So one is with 22 pairs and the other one is with 10, two different set files also at the same time. Now the videos are in here. So you see this one that I just mentioned to you before, and obviously the new one that we are shooting right now. You can also find that tutorial in here in the future. And then we have the monthly results, and this is the late monthly results of May. 22 pairs, $662, or 10 pairs, $1,228. So very good monthly profit so far. Now the details that you want to have a closer look at here is our accounts. So you can go and try and compare it when you're setting it up. At the moment, we have the 22 pair account in here, basically running as many as we can. So in the setups itself, there is actually 23 files. We can only run 22 because one of them is not within our broker. Our broker is IG, set up on a demo account as usual. That is a good, decent account that is not up at the high end and not at the low end, which provides very good and average results. We also have the 10 pair account in here. Those runs with different set files, and we're going to talk a lot more about these here a bit later on in the video. Now, I mentioned to you where you can buy it, and that is basically the first part, obviously, that you need in order to get started with all this. And right now, we actually have a Trade Explorer coupon code with a 10% discount, as you can see here. It is valid until the 15th of June at the moment. We are trying just to get it extended a bit further, hopefully until Sunday the 18th of June. So you have a chance of both watching the video and still also determining if you actually want to buy this here or not. You can find more details if you go in on LeapFX. You click there and it will basically take you there. And we have more details and information also here, especially what you want here. The LeapFX, my FX book results in here also explains a bit about exactly the different types of trades. You can see a lot of different ways developers have set up their set files, and basically you can go and dissect all the data and information there to see which ones you want to start with. But we're going to take off on the basic charts. So let's have a look and see what the manual exactly tells you to do. So the details we are going through here on the manual itself, first part is the user manual. As we mentioned here before, that is basically LeapFX that has written that one out, and it's quite a good one. It covers pretty much everything. Obviously, if it's the first time you ever install an EA, Expert Advisor or Robot onto a chart, it can be a bit confusing, but obviously that is also why we're going to show you afterwards here exactly how you can add it to your own MT4 platform. The next part is obviously installing the program, so based on what the manual here says. And then also we add the EA to the chart, again following the descriptions here of the developers. The different part here is exactly how you want to set this up, how many accounts and how many robot licenses you actually have. Depends on different set files, how you want to use them, if you want to use all or only some. We're also going to have a closer look at this. And then the last part is basically the only part that you need to be aware of here is the risk and lot size, exactly how much lot size, how much risk are you willing to take. And again, that comes all the way down to exactly how big an account it is and what is your risk appetite. But let's get started. There is some recommendations within the manual itself, and why not start on page 1. Recommendations to help you excel. So this is basically, as I mentioned here before, from LeapFX, so the developers themselves. The first part that comes into the manual here, it says which forex broker should you use. And again, they recommend here the Blaze markets. They do that for all their EAs. And there is some where you are required to use the Blaze market because it's the only one that works. It actually works quite well on IG, so I believe it will also work quite fine on other brokers. But as always, as I mentioned here, if you want to try it on your specific broker, because there's so many, we cannot test all of them ourselves, of course. Basically, go to your preferred broker, set up a demo account, and then test it for a week or 2 or whatever it takes in order for you to feel comfortable with that it's trading okay as it should be. The next part here is it's on an MT4 platform, so you need to make sure that you have that set up. And again, the LeapFX developers here says you have to choose an account of between 100 to 200 leverage. And normally that is the minimum. You can obviously also trade it with a higher leverage. Again, it comes with a certain risk, so just make sure that you know exactly what you're doing and if you actually want to take that extra chance. Account type to use. Again, this is very important because it comes down to the risk factors we have in here, and they're talking about a pro account types. We're saying minimum recommended deposit is $1,000 in here, but preferred 3,000 to 5,000. Minimum to maintain safe risk with margin, and definitely that is something that you have to be very much aware of, and something you can also test when you are setting up your own demo account. They go on here, it says if you want to use all pairs on a regular account, such as the pro or standard accounts, then they recommend the 3,000 to 5,000 minimum deposit for the safe trading. And for safer trading, for smaller accounts, you use the lower risk set files provided, and that's where it comes in. There's 2 different sets of files in here. We are trading both of them. And what they are saying about the low risk set files is basically the ones that has a folder of only 10 compared to the other one that has 23. If we go to the next section here, we can see that use a VPS and everything will run even if computer is off. Yes, it's not a requirement necessarily here, but we always suggest that you do that. If you have a stable power connection, if you have a stable internet connection, if you have a laptop or computer that you can have on 24/5, not necessarily 7 days a week, because this is trading the Forex pairs only. So that means normally from Monday to Friday, European time here. And if you have that, then you have less worries overall that the computer goes in or shuts down, or you have maintenance on your electrical or internet cables. So definitely you can get them very cheap. We also have some links on our website for those particular ones. Now pay attention to this part, because this gets a bit more complicated because we have different set files and we have different types of accounts. So again, account trading risk. For most account, the default risk is good. You should have decided how many pairs to use. And as I said again, if here they say 20 plus, then fund the account with 3 to 5,000 at least. And that is definitely also what we have done. And on the second part, for more conservative, if using less than 3,000, then they suggest that you use the 10 pairs, basically the lower risk at the end of the day, or you simply cut away the pairs that you don't want in there. So, and again, use the low risk setting files provided, and the documents explain it exactly, and also here within the manual itself. The next part is the lot size that they're talking about and saying we're recommending using 0.01 lot size per $5,000. So anything less than 5,000, you have to use 0.01. And it says you can increase this one up to 0.05. Obviously, that is a huge difference. It's basically 5 times bigger risk at the end of the day. So just be sure and aware of, do you know what you're doing? And if you are in doubt, or if you are just starting trading, definitely start with 0.01. Try it on the demo account and then see exactly what that means. You can always increase the lot size later. It's going to be a bit difficult if you start very high and then blow your account. Everything is over before you even figure out what is actually happening. The next part here, again, it says if you're using an example $10,000, then what you do is basically use basic math, 5,000 times 2, then do the 0.01 times 2, and you end up with 0.02 if you are trading a $10,000 account. So that is pretty much self-explanatory, I hope. The next part here is if you want extra protection, there is actually on the trades themselves, there is a safety stop loss option, and we're going to have a look at that also once we have set up the EA itself, where you can put this in to cut losses at set amounts. And they say here, after loading the set files, explained in the next section, change the following setting. And what you have to do is once you have loaded the new settings, you can then go in and update them. And this is for the use basket stop loss. You have to set that one to true. And then after that, they recommend you set it to 500. And this is basically a dollar amount, meaning that if one currency pair is going into a drawdown of more than $500, it will basically shut down the trades themselves and then reset and be ready for the next trade. And it says here again, each pair you set this for will be 500 maximum negativity will close in. Again, it means that it's only set for that particular currency pair. So if you are trading all 22, 23 pairs, you have to do that. All of the individual accounts to make sure that nothing blows. And that could definitely be a good thing if you are trading on a FTMO account, where you have to limit your daily drawdowns and also the monthly ones. That is one way you can deal with this. And again, here they're saying here, we do not use the feature on our account. And again, this is entirely up to you, how you want to run it. And it also depends on what account size. Now we are coming to the Expert Advisor installation itself. As I mentioned before, it is the MT4 trading platform. And here we are looking at some of the details that we will have a closer look at later on, so don't panic too much. I've highlighted some of these items in yellow here. It says allow automatic trading and also allow DLL imports, so make sure that these are on. And then you have allow web requests for listed URL. And normally you use this one here if you have MQL5 platform, for example, where you want to transpose the data so you can actually read it apart from your MT4 platform. It could also be that you want to use FX Blue instead, which we are doing. Then you're basically writing in the code in here. And as you can see, it is already here. So again, the w.mql5.com in this particular case, or it's going to be the FX Blue. It will tell you later on when you want to add that into it. Now, the next part here is basically saying, okay, make sure auto trading is on. And again, we have to say that that is actually not really true. You got to make sure that everything is off. Auto trading is off until everything is set up. And then you have double checked it once more. So make sure that you don't do this too often, too frequently. Make sure that everything is off until you have double checked it. And by then you then click the auto trading. But anyway, it comes a bit later and I will show you exactly how that is done. To install the Trade Explorer, you will need to load the Trade Explorer.ex4. That is one file that actually comes with the program itself, and you have another one, Explorer Indicator here, .ex4 file. You also have to put that into a folder, and it's the platform's data folder. We're going to show you that. But it also mentions here you have to click File, Open Data Folder, MQL4, go into the expert part. So, and that's where you're putting the program itself. So the .ex4 file. Then you go back and then you go into the indicator folder, and then you place the other file in there and make sure that those are in. Next, back again, and then you can go in and click present and then drag all the files from the set files into the folder, basically both the high and the low risk. You can put all of them in there. And then after that, you can either refresh or you can restart the platform itself. So it's going to look something like this. Obviously here again, it says Expert Advisor. It will, if you click the plus, that will basically open up and you should be able to see your EA in there. And again, it explains here. So now we need to open the window with the MetaTrader 4 for the currency pairs that the Trade Explorer will be trading on. And obviously the currency pairs, click the file button on the top left and then click on New Charts. And after that, you select the individual currency pairs that you want to trade and then click them to open. And then click at the end of the day also the pairs in the market watch. And obviously this sounds a bit confusing if this is the first time you are trying it. It's a lot easier once I show you. Now the important part here again is the set files. You need to understand exactly how that works, because that has something to do with the risk that you are just about to take place with also on your trading. So if you have a look, the first and the top part here is the regular risk. So you have 23 currency pairs in here. All the set files that have been set up. You don't have to change anything in there if that is what you want. And that is the one that we have in here. Except as we mentioned before, we have 22 instead of 23. The lower part you have here is the lower risk at the end of the day with the pairs. And here you have 10 pairs in here. And again, if you want to do the lower risk, we have decided to use both to figure out which ones are working the best, which ones has the highest drawdown, which ones has the highest profits at the end of the day. And that is something also for you to figure out exactly which ones are the best ones. So again, 10 currency pairs versus the 23 in here. It's entirely up to you how you want to approach this. Now, the next part here is obviously you have to make sure that when you have the charts up and running, you have to click on the M5, and it is because the EA runs on 5-minute intervals here. So very short time frames compared to previous. It has a bit of a picture up here. So just telling you exactly M5. And then it tells you here again, now click the Trade Explorer from the navigating window on the left and drag it onto each currency pair. And what they're talking about here is basically the EA. So once you have opened your charts, you basically drag and drop your EA in here. And then after that, you will have a window. It says once attach the Trade Explorer to a chart window, a box will appear like the following below. And again, here it will start off in common, and it will have the safety part will allow DLL imports and allow imports of external experts. You have to make sure that those are on, and then also allow live trading. But as I mentioned to you before here, it is important that don't start anything until you have absolutely double checked everything. So make sure that you actually click this one button off first until you are absolutely sure you got all the details correct, and then you can click the live trading afterwards. But I'll show you more about that. Now we're getting to the end of everything here. So now we have the chart loaded, we have the EA loaded on the chart itself. And again, it says up here under input section, click load, then select the set file at the same name. So as the pair you are attaching the Explorer to. So again, you are choosing the chart you have. And if that is British pounds USD, for example, then you have to go and find that particular set file also to match it. And again, it just highlights in here, it says do not change any settings until you load the set files. and basically enter your transaction details in here. So why you should not make any changes is basically if you do the changes and then load the set file will go back to the standard part and it won't have changed a thing. So make sure that you load it first and then make your adjustments afterwards. Transaction code is basically the one up here in yellow they are talking about. You have to make sure that that goes in there. Otherwise, LeapFX, the developers here, will not allow you to trade it. And again, it says you can change other settings, but they recommend to do not touch it and just use the provided settings. So as the set files are, those are actually the best and actually works at the end of the day. That is also what we have left them at until we get more experience with the EA itself. And a last warning here says you must load set files before adjusting settings. So once again, they are making sure that you have added the EA to it, you load the set file, and then you make the changes. So important. Last point down here is if everything is okay and loaded properly, you see the text Trade Explorer with a smiley emoji on the top right on each chart. And it says that's it, configuring is finished. Let it run on its own for 24/7, which is actually 24/5 because we are, again, as I mentioned, not trading Forex over the weekend. And do not touch it. A VPS is highly recommended. And that is pretty much it. Following that to the letter should get you there. And now I'm going to show you exactly how that all looks when you do it manually. And we're going to use a brand new account on our VPS service. So as I mentioned, we're going to start with a brand new MT4 platform and we have logged in. You can see in the top left corner here, it's IG. That's the account number that we have here. It's just a demo account similar to what you should actually be setting up the first times. And I just have a bit of a thing to follow here normally. So once I start, click on the trade, look at the balance, 10,000 that is in there. So that's what we need to see. And then I also close the charts down here. Don't really need them for now. We're going to do that a bit later. And then basically get the navigator up here. That also creates a bit of space for the market watch we have over here. And for the expert advisor, that basically just have the standard part in here right now. We're also going to make sure that the auto trading is off. You can see here it is on. And obviously we don't want that one to go off before we have everything up and running. So the first part, we're actually going to go in and just make a few changes here into the options itself. We don't want to have news on. It simply takes too much, again, data as it comes in. We go to the charts and then you change them into 5,000 here. We don't really need that much of memory for the charts either. So 5,000 is normally a good part. Go on the trade. If you want to have one-click trading, you can push that one. If you want to do any manual stuff, you remember this particular picture here, allow automated trading, and we take these here off. And then we also allow the DLL. And then don't forget this one here. If you want to link that particular account to your MQL5 or your FX Blue, you basically also add that in there, and then you add the individual address for your FX Blue. That is for a different video in this particular case. Notifications, we don't make any changes, neither do we on emails. On the event part, we don't really need all the bling and blong here, so we're going to take all this off. And then we're back to community. At the end of the day, we simply click OK, and that is the first part that is set up. So the next part here will now be to try and get the files into the exact folders that LeapFX, the developers here, told us before. And the first part we have to do is basically go and find the file, go and find the open data folder we have in here. You click that one, and then we started off with MQL4. So we go in here, and then we need to put a couple of things in. First of all, we need to put in on the expert here, and we also need the indicator itself. But let's go for the expert in this particular case. And now we have to get the file itself. And for that, we basically need to load this one up. And as you can see in here, these are all the files. These are all the details that you're actually getting together with the LibreFX, you have the low drawdown set files. In here you have 10, and this one here is the normal set files, and here you have the 23 in here. And then you have the indicator one, so the EX4. You have a little text file that you can go and read. This here was the manual, and we are actually looking for this particular one. So to add this one here to our folder itself. Okay, so let's just show these two particular files that we have here. So what you have to do is basically mark this file up here and then go in and click copy, and you can then paste it over here. So now that is the MQL expert in here, and Trade Explorer.ex. You move back again, and then you go into the indicators instead. You can see there's many other indicators in here. And what you now do is you take the Explorer indicator, you copy that one also here, and then you add it to the file over here. So again, copy paste. So right click and then paste it in here. So now again on the MQL4 and indicator platform, it is here. And then it tells us again, you now go backwards, and then this is in the next folder. So MQL4 present, and you have nothing in there as it is right now. So what you can do is you can now highlight the two files that you have. You want to send them over here to make sure that you know which ones goes where. So if you set it up similar to this, then it should be fairly easy. So as I mentioned before, so now they are basically telling us here that you should restart your platform, and you can do that, or you can simply go and press refresh, and you will see that the Trade Explorer comes down here. You can do the same here for the indicator also to make sure that they are updated at the end of the day. And the next thing you're going to do here is find the currency pairs that you want to take on, and you can see them in the Market Watch over here. It basically tells you everything there is. You can either hide them or you can show more. If there's something that is actually missing, you can just double click down here and then start putting in. So if we say euro something, it comes up euro AUD, and you can then click and add these ones to them. In this particular case, we can take Aussie USD. And again, if you right click, so you will then have an option here for a chart window. You open the chart window, it's going to look like this. And this is the standard part. So Aussie USD on 1 hour chart. Don't forget, we have to change it into 5 minutes. You can see there's certainly a nice little trend going on with that one at the moment. We can like the candlesticks, so we put that one on here instead. We also like it a bit bigger at the end of the day, and then we will mark it up. So everything is basically ready now for you to add the EA itself. So now you've got two options again here. So with the Trade Explorer, you can either double click on the Explorer part itself. And again, you have to make sure that the allow DLL imports and allow also from external experts. You gotta make sure that this particular one, allow live trading, make sure that that one is off until you are ready and you have double checked everything. There's nothing on the About page. On the input page here, this is basically where you're gonna put all your details, but don't forget, first of all, we have to load the individual files. And for this particular part, you can go back and see that we wanted Aussie USD. And what we do in order to load this particular one here, we click on the load button. And as you can see, we come now in the MQL4 present in here. And now it's basically up to you which particular ones you want to use. If you want to do the low drawdown, you click the low drawdown, and you can see the Aussie USD file in here. You either double click this one or mark it up and then click open. You can now see that everything is changing in here. You can see the fixed lot size is set to 0.01. And the next part, remember this one here, if you want to put a stop loss in here also, this is false, which means that the stop loss is not here. You double click again, and you can now change that to true, and then basket stop loss money. Again, if you have to follow the recommendations, it could be set for 500 in here. But if you decide, well, you don't want it, double click again, click false. And then basically you now have to put in the details from LeapFX, basically the confirmation code that you have in there in order to start the robot itself. And after that, you can see there's nothing else to put in there. Yes, there is plenty of details, but they already have individual magical numbers. And all you have to do is click OK, and you will now get the happy face. We will not, because we haven't put this one in here. And if you haven't set up an additional account, then it will basically just go back to 0, but I'll show you that in a second. But we can also say we want to have a look at the other data files in here. So again, you come straight back, and here, this was the low drawdown we were in. So these were the 10 we had, and the set files over here is now all the 23 that we had in here. And you can say, okay, Aussie USD, that is this particular one. Again, you either double click or you click open. You can now see that things are changing. So the settings are definitely not the same. And once again, you have to go in and change your fixed lot size if that is the case. And again, you also have the use basket stop loss and all the stop loss on the money in here. You have to make the changes if that is what you want, and then click OK. And then that is the first currency pair that is set up. And then you simply continue to drag on a new chart. You continue to drag on the robot again, and then you load the next set file. And I will go to one of the live accounts here to show you what it looks like when you are finished. So this is what the account looks like now. This is the account. So for 10 currency pairs, and you can see them all nicely set up in here. So all the details are there. And again, Aussie USD, we have Euro British pounds, everything is here. And we also have a little happy smiley face going through all of them in the corner up here. So everything is working well. And on top of that, you can also see the Trade Explorer. You can see the currency. You can see the expert version 6.2 Trade Explorer you have in here. And then also the account number that is set up. And if you go further down, you can obviously also see exactly the code that you had to put in earlier. Again, we have put in the FX Blue side as I mentioned here earlier on. And if we just go back into tools for a second, I'll show you exactly how that works. Again, the charts, where do we have it? On the expert advisor down here, yeah. So basically, this is the publisher one that we have for FX Blue. That's what has to go in. So if you want to add then to it, then it will take all the single trades and put it on one account. And that's how you can actually see all our trades, what is actually happening so at any given time. And obviously, once you are ready, once you are happy with all the account setups, you can see again here that we have the auto trading on. Everything is on 5 minutes. You can also see that on the charts here below. It will tell you exactly how things are set up. So you can double check and confirm that you are happy with it. And when you are happy with it, as we mentioned, you click the auto trading and things will start moving for you, hopefully in the positive direction. So that's how you actually buy, install, and set up everything for the Trade Explorer. As we mentioned, it sounds like a bit of a big task with a lot of different currencies, but it's simply a repetition every single time. And as we mentioned here, make sure you set it up on a demo account first. Make sure you just put the live trading off until you have double checked all your settings. Make sure that they are exactly as you want them to be. And from there on, basically click the live button and then monitor exactly how it goes. You can even monitor either from our website, see our trading if that is similar, or you can also go to the developers LeapFX and see if they have similar trades and what exactly are the size of the trades, are they taken at the same time. That way you can evaluate also your broker and your details that you're getting out of it. It will be, if it will be profitable once you put it on a live account, and you might even figure out that you want to take some of the currency pairs away, either to improve the win rate or to also reduce the risk. It all depends on. your account size at the end of the day. Now, don't forget that there is a limited time offer here. We are trying to get this extended, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Hopefully, we'll get it extended until the 18th of June here. So basically almost a week from when this video is coming out. But don't despair if you're not going to make it and you have to wait until next month to buy this particular one. We will still have a discount on it, hopefully, so it will just be smaller by then. So, but anyway, that is the coupon code, and I hope that that will give you a very good idea of how you can trade the Trade Explorer. But don't forget, this is not investment advice, this is not trading advice, this is simply a tutorial to explain to you how the EA, how the robot, how you need to set it up, and all the different things you have to evaluate. It's entirely up to you how you want to trade it. It is entirely your responsibility to make sure that you trade in a proper manner, and as we mentioned, use demo accounts whenever you can. So I hope that this particular video here was really helpful for you, both to understand exactly how the Trade Explorer is being set up and how it's being traded, and the next step is basically up to you. So I hope you will give me a thumbs up, a nice comment if you are going through this tutorial and you actually get everything set up. I would like to hear from you, of course. Otherwise, I'll see you on one of my next videos. Bye-bye.